Hello everyone. Once we identify ourselves and say, okay, these are my issues, these are my problems, then do we realize that I should get rid of them or to live with them? Naturally, we like to get rid of them. Sometimes we get so much used to this way of life, we put up with this. It's like a lazy man, even though there is a fire in the house, he's not able to even become aware and want to take a notice of it. He's so lazy. Let the fire go on. But he's going to destroy himself. That sort of laziness is not recommended. It's not desirable. Similarly, inner lethargy towards oneself. This careless attitude that, oh, I'm fine with myself. But look at the people who are so cognizant of day-to-day affairs which happens within. And at every moment, they want to go on changing to become better and better and better. We need to have these three things constantly going on in the mind. What I want, what is blocking me or stopping me from achieving it, and most importantly, what can help me to achieve it. So we submit ourselves to higher forces. You may call whatever names you like. Religions call such an entity as God or the Lord or the divine principle. Psychologically or in spiritual terms, New Age stuff calls it higher level of consciousness, higher self. Call what you may. One fact always remains true, that grosser things cannot appreciate the subtler. Take, for example, Heisenberg's uncertainty principle in physics. He talks about positioning of the electron in its field versus its speed in its field. You may identify its speed, but you may not be in a position to identify its location at the same time. But when you argue thus, you need to identify something even smaller and subtler than the electron to identify these two things, position and the speed. But is there anything like that? Likewise, to appreciate something very subtle, I will have to become even subtler. I cannot remain grosser and try to appreciate something very subtle. It is contradictory. Only subtle can appreciate the grosser beauty, if you might like to call it, or the grosser objects in its full manifestations. One will have to become very subtle inside. And can you imagine the subtlety of the final thing? Subtlety of God, for example, or subtlety of the ultimate. Can I become subtler than that so that I can appreciate divinity or the ultimate? Something to think about. So to my heart, prayer is when heart cries out for such a moment that yes, I'd like to become subtler. I'd like to appreciate and become one with the goal. So each time you achieve something, you become something, that higher thing is already calling you. You attain that, something even greater is awaiting. And this chain goes on and on and on. When we realize this, that I need higher help, the heart cries out very deeply. Such an introspection, the moment of introspection where one identifies that yes, I need to achieve that, what is my problem, how to get rid of it, and the source of improvement. we call God or the guide. Ultimate guide is always God. The real master of our life is always God. And we say, "Oh Master, my God, Thou art the real goal of human life." We have to recognize this much, that highest principle is the goal of my life. We are yet but slaves of wishes, putting bar to our advancement. Thou art the only God and power to bring us up to that stage. So, with such a simple submission, where we identify three things, here, the most important thing I can understand through these few simple lines, that this prayer or submission is not offered just for myself. It's for us all. We, us, ours. We are yet but slaves of wishes, putting bar to our advancement. Thou art the only God and power to bring us up to that stage. It is no longer about myself. That's the beauty of such a submission. It's no longer a selfish thing that, yes, my Lord, I like to achieve this for myself. It's for the entire universe. Then what happens when such a submission is made? I think automatically you will be able to see the magic of God's grace. Something will start descending. Something even more powerful than yogic transmission. Something more intense than pranahuti. I like to call it as grace. We need to invoke this grace. It's like, when there is a storm or typhoon or tornado. Air moves because it moves towards the low pressure zones. When we create the intense inner vacuum in our heart, then grace descends very softly, very gently, automatically. So we need to create that vacuum. How to create that vacuum? Well, evening cleaning is very effective in doing this, in creating such an environment, inner environment becomes purer and simpler. Only with such a simpler and purer heart one can create such a vacuum, such a spiritual vacuum which can be filled only by grace. Generally, we offer prayer just before going to bed and right after we wake up in the morning. Just before going to bed and retiring for good, for next few hours, instead of making this 7, 8, 6 hours of sleep only for physical rest, we like to ensure that we derive spiritual benefit out of such inactive, so-called inactive hours, unproductive hours. No doubt we get physical and mental rest. But there is another element to it where we can have spiritual succor or spiritual nourishment even when we are at sleep. How is it possible? Trigger something in us through prayer, that my Lord, after you finish this prayer, which is just 3-4 lines which you already have made yourself familiar with, at the end of it, you say, all throughout the night, even during my sleep, I will remain connected with the Lord. Or imagine that you are sleeping in the lap of the Lord. Just like when we were children and sleeping in the lap of our mother or father. Feel that comfort in associating yourself with that higher principle, higher entity. Maintain this for a few minutes with a conscious mind, maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And by the time, I suppose, most people go to sleep because of the comfort derived out of this sentiment. Also, let there be the inner current of thought that as soon as I wake up, I'll meditate and connect myself with still another higher level of consciousness and maintain that during daytime. Finish the evening cleaning that has spoiled my level of consciousness. Regain the inner balance or centeredness that you had earlier. And mingle with family members with joy, with such purity and simplicity. And again at night time, cycle is completed through prayer. So this is how we can spend our 24 hours while working with our day-to-day affairs, going to work, whatsoever be the work, going to business or going to universities or college or schools, even while paying attention to our professors or lecturers. Have this inner connection established already. Even while doing this daily business affairs or work, or even while cooking for our family. When we remain inwardly in tune with this deeper level of consciousness, I think the whole exercise changes its nature and we derive such a great benefit. In just few months of such a training, I think life can change drastically. I wish you would give it a genuine, a serious try. You don't need to believe in my words. Just try it for 7 days and see what happens. These few elements of this heartfulness practice, if you liked that you make this approach even simpler, we have this app called Heart in Tune. You can download that on your phone. It will walk you through various elements of this practice. One is relaxation, second is meditation, third is cleaning, and fourth is about how to offer a prayer, how to connect with our inner source, how to connect with the ultimate. We also have heart spots all throughout the world where you can have trainers. You can take the help of trainers. These trainers will not charge anything to learn. You can go to their place of meditation and have group meditation as well, or individual meditation if you like to have individual meditation. And feel this at a deeper level. I hope this is enough for the day. Until then, have a good time. Have a good meditation.